Well, I think that Tulsi Gabbard's nomination to be Director of National Intelligence, when I first heard that today, my immediate reaction was hilarious.
Why?
She's totally not competent for that job. Gaetz is the worst. She may be tracking in at the second worst. Haven't had a lot of time to do research on the Tulsi Gabbard nomination. But
this is my video update on this Thursday afternoon, November the 14th. Let's talk about some news. And we have some more Trump cabinet picks. Two big names from yesterday. Tulsi Gabbard at the DNI, the Director for National Intelligence, a senior position, a very big position being offered to Tulsi Gabbard. She accepted the offer. And Matt Gaetz as the Attorney General. Wow, that's a good pick. Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. Tulsi Gabbard is a fantastic pick as well, of course. Tulsi, Matt Gaetz, two very good picks from Trump from yesterday, and they're good. They're going to be tough for the Senate to confirm. Yeah, there's already pushback coming from the Senate to confirm. The rhinos, the deep state, they're already very worried about Tulsi Gabbard at DNI and Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. By the way, I believe that John Thune, who was Mitch McConnell's protege, he's going to be the Senate majority leader. That's how it looks. Actually, I think that is confirmed now. So that's bad news. But the good news is Tulsi and Gaetz. It's going to be interesting because Tulsi Gabbard, she's now going to be heading up, I believe, 17 intel agencies. And wasn't she placed on a flight ban or a flight monitoring thing that was revealed a couple of months ago, where she gets on a plane, the federal agencies, the intel agencies, they monitor her, and she was placed on this program, and now she's going to be heading up these agencies. Wow. She's also on the Mirotvorets, I believe, the Ukraine hit list. I believe she is on that list. I think Trump was on that list and they removed him. I think Musk was on that list and they removed him. Yeah, someone should look into the Mirotvorets, which on top of the website for this Ukraine hit list, they have the address of Poland. They say Poland, I believe Warsaw they say, and Langley, like on the top left or right-hand corner of the Mirotvorets. Someone should call up Langley and see what exactly is going on. Get in contact with Ratcliffe, who's going to be the CIA director, and they should look into Mirotvorets. Hillary Clinton also called Gabbard a Russian agent, a Putin agent. Bad move, Hillary. Very bad move. So Rubio was confirmed as well yesterday as Secretary of State. That is a big position, the big position, Secretary of State. That is going to Marco Rubio. A lot of people upset with that pick, myself included. He is a neocon, but I've always categorized him as not one of the Newland, Cheney, Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell type of neocons. Not as hardcore, but he's a neocon. But he's also someone who gravitates towards power. And he has changed his tune, at least with regards to Ukraine. On November, when was it? October. I believe in October, he gave an interview with Fox News, and he was asked about Ukraine, and he said the whole thing needs to be shut down. That's pretty much what he said. We need to figure out a way to put an end to the conflict in Ukraine. He was talking about how there's a stalemate. We're funding a stalemate, he said. We're funding a stalemate. We're funding a stalemate. We need to get out of this conflict. We need to find a solution to Project Ukraine. It wasn't a stalemate, never was a stalemate. But anyway, that's what he was saying. But he signaled during this interview with Fox News that he's not supporting Project Ukraine. And he actually voted that way as well To be fair to Rubio, he was a senator who voted against the $60 billion that Biden eventually ended up giving to the Elensky regime, well, to the military-industrial complex. 10% for the big guy, and then whatever was left to the Zelensky regime. But Rubio's going to, that one's going to be a controversial pick. It'll also be the pick that gets confirmed by the Senate most easily, interestingly enough. So I think Rubio's on board. Actually, he said he's on board with Trump's thinking on Ukraine, which is to wind Ukraine down, to walk away from Ukraine. But Rubio is a hardcore China hawk, also hardcore hawk, hardcore hawk when it comes to Iran. Absolutely. He may cause some trouble in the U.S.'s neighborhood. I'm thinking Venezuela. I'm thinking Cuba. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But, with Rubio, here's my thinking on Rubio. Just a thought. I'm just spitballing some ideas. If you were Trump and you had to choose a neocon, you don't have to choose a neocon, but you say, I want to put a neocon in place just so I can calm all of these other neocons and rhinos down as I work towards my America First policy. I would say that Rubio's probably one of your better picks, isn't he? Because he does agree with you on Project Ukraine. He's someone that's not going to be such a powerful Secretary of State. In other words, Trump can control him. So he's not going to go rogue. He's not going to. He may want to go against Trump. He may want to throw Trump under the bus, but he's not, because Rubio, I think what he places is power above all else. And so that's why he's leaning now towards Trump and America First, because he sees where the power is moving. So you want to put someone in there that you can control, someone that, because you control them, you're pretty certain that they're not gonna backstab you. And if they are gonna backstab you, you surround them with all the people that you do trust. You like Tulsi Gabbard, you put Matt Gaetz there. I'm positive that Trump, I don't agree with his views, but I'm positive that Trump feels that Mike Waltz is very loyal to him. Pete Hegseth. So you surround them with people that are America First, very loyal to Trump, whatever their views are, if you agree with them or not. That's not my point here. You surround Rubio with all these people, and you make it even more certain that he's not gonna do something that you don't want him to do. And also, by putting Rubio in the position of Secretary of State, knowing that he's got these neocon leanings, he's a light neocon, you put him in there, and he does give you certain eyes and ears as to what the neocon establishment is thinking and what they're saying. The McConnells, the Grahams, the Newlands, the Kagans, the Cheneys. He does give you that as well. So I mean, you can try to maybe understand this pick. I think there's some certain, I don't like it, but maybe there's a certain logic to it, I guess. And here's something that Alexander brought up as we were recording a video that's going to go up tomorrow. Alexander brought up an interesting point in that as you walk away from Project Ukraine, Rubio's the perfect guy because he is a neocon. He can talk to the neocons. He can talk to that crowd. He's the guy that can go to the neocons and provide some cover and tell the neocons, look, it's the right thing to walk away from Ukraine. It's a lost cause. This is why Trump is doing it. So he does provide a bit of cover for you, at least with some of the true believers of the neocon religion. Maybe just some thoughts to try and figure out the logic behind Rubio. But then again, maybe there is no logic. Who knows? I'm just trying to spitball some ideas. What do you guys think? What do you think could be some of the reasoning behind Rubio as Secretary of State? By the way, Rubio wanted to be Secretary of State. He wanted this position. He lobbied hard to get this position. I don't know why, because being in the Senate is pretty much a lifelong gig, and no one really bothers you, but he wanted Secretary of State. Something that Tom Lungo said is that by putting Rubio in as Secretary of State, you open up a seat in the Senate where Ron DeSantis is going to decide who fills that seat. And so you get someone who's loyal to Trump and America first. You get Rubio out of the way. You put someone in who's America first as a senator in Florida, and you also have the leverage over Rubio to fire him, something you didn't have when he was in the Senate. So I thought that was an interesting observation from Tom. I hope I understood that correctly. I hope I summarized that correctly. Anyway, those were the picks that came through yesterday. Trump is working very fast to build out his cabinet, which means that Trump had a good idea as to what he wanted. And it's a very different type of cabinet than what he had in 2016. Very different. And in 2016, he only had Michael Flynn in the beginning to help him navigate D.C. And Biden and Obama, they got together. Comey, they got together, and they took out Michael Flynn way early. And they isolated Trump, and then they started to fill up Trump's cabinet with the McMasters and the Boltons and the Pompeos and all of these guys. This time around, Trump has a lot of people that are loyal to him. Pretty much all of them, with the exception of Rubio, who I still think you can make an argument is going to be loyal to Trump, but for other reasons. But now he has all these people that are loyal to him, and it's going to be very difficult for the deep state to pick off all of these people one by one. They're going to have trouble getting confirmed, a lot of them, but they can't pick them off like they picked off Michael Flynn way in the beginning and isolate Trump. And now Trump has a lot of people around him. It's going to be very hard to isolate him. So that's the news coming out of the Trump soon-to-be administration. And we are also getting word from Fox News that Trump is going to be appointing a special envoy for Ukraine to sort out Ukraine. Maybe Grenell? That's just a guess. I don't know. But this is what Fox News is reporting. Trump is going to put in a special envoy. That person is going to meet with all the parties and try to float out a solution to Project Ukraine. You're going to see a very special envoy, someone with a lot of credibility who will be given a task to find a resolution to get to a peace settlement. An anonymous source told Fox, adding, "You're going to see that in short order." By the way, the New York Times, they even reported that Trump is putting a lot of loyal people into his cabinet. Everything that I was saying yesterday and what Larry Johnson also wrote and what Alexander has been saying over the past couple of days, even the New York Times is admitting that Trump is filling up his cabinet with America first, loyal people. And they seemed a bit concerned about that because they would like to find a way to derail Trump. But as I said, Trump is going to be surrounded with a lot of people that are very, very close to him. Anyway, an envoy to sort out Project Ukraine. My guess is that this envoy is going to do his or her thing. They're going to give Trump their feedback and a proposal as to how they believe Project Ukraine can be wound down and what the U.S. should do, which is going to be to walk away. All the signals point to Trump being done with Ukraine. All the signals point to that. And then the Trump administration is going to offer this proposal to Russia and to Ukraine. And Ukraine is going to shoot it down right away. Elensky's going to shoot it down. And once Zelensky shoots down the proposal, then it's going to free up the Trump administration to say, okay, we tried. Europe can now deal with Elensky. That's just my guess. That's a wild guess, but we'll see. We'll see what'll happen. Borrell, Jungle Joseph, is in a panic, and he's now talking about creating an EU army because the U.S. is walking away. He's talking about creating an EU military that's going to fund Project Ukraine. Ursula is, she's reshaping all of the EU funds. I mean, all the funds that the EU has, Ursula is now redoing them and reshaping them so that all the money of the EU funds don't go to EU citizens, but most of it goes to Project Ukraine. Just crazy stuff. And Borrell the other day, he said that it's time to take the 300 billion in Russian frozen assets and give that to Elensky. So, I mean, we are seeing a big time panic coming out of the European Union. Even the Washington Post, they put out an article talking about the EU panic. And they even said that some former EU diplomats and some current EU diplomats, they said 10 people, 10 anonymous, unnamed officials, former EU officials and some current EU officials are telling the Washington Post that the EU is now even considering land for peace. That's how the Washington Post phrased it. The article has the title, Ukraine's European allies eye once taboo land for peace negotiations. European allies are increasingly bracing for negotiations on Russia's war in Ukraine that could include territorial concessions in return for security guarantees to Kiev. And in this article from the Washington Post, they actually say, one second, let me find it here because this is an amazing revelation from the Washington Post, citing these EU diplomats and officials. They actually say that now that this once taboo statement that perhaps it's time to negotiate with Russia, and maybe we're going to have to tell Elensky to give up some land in order to get to a freeze. Everyone wants the freeze. The collective West, not the Russians. The Russians are winning, they don't need a freeze. But the collective West, they're angling for the freeze, right? They want that freeze because that's the way they can get out of this mess. And they feel that if they can freeze it, then they can wait out Putin over 10, 20 years and eventually get Ukraine into NATO. Anyway, I've talked about this in previous videos, but they're angling for that freeze. And it was once taboo to offer land for the freeze. Now they're starting to talk about land for the freeze. Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporozhye, Kherson. That's what they're talking about. And this was taboo. Remember what I talked about a couple of days ago with Terry Breton when he was on French TV, and he said you couldn't say the word peace or negotiations with Russia if you were in the European Union, the former EU information czar that took on X and lost. Yeah, this is true. It's being confirmed. You could not talk about peace negotiations at all if you were part of the EU political elite class. Off limits. Don't even mention it. Don't talk about it. We're going to defeat Putin. We're going to defeat Russia, right? Now they're saying, okay, maybe some land for peace. We got to get that freeze. Anyway, the Washington Post even says in the article that the big challenge for the European Union is that the messaging is correct. If they do get to the conclusion that they're going to have to negotiate with Russia, Trump is going to leave them, the United States is going to leave them, they have no other choice. They're going to have to get into some negotiations with Russia, or at least tell Elensky, if he's still president, we'll see. Tell Elensky, negotiate with Russia. If they get to that position, then they have to make sure that the messaging is in such a way so that it doesn't say that Russia won. Yes, it's going to be land for peace, and we can't say that Russia won. That's what they're most concerned about, is the messaging. The biggest challenge for the West, according to the Post, will be to navigate public messaging on negotiations after more than 2 years of warning of an existential threat to Europe that required spending billions on Ukraine. That is one important thing about any arrangement we make, one anonymous official told the Post. It can never be seen as a victory for Russia. It's all about the optics. They don't want the EU citizens to realize that they were BSing the whole time over the last 3 years about Russia running out of weapons and the Russian economy is in tatters and Putin is suffering from 20 illnesses and the Russian economy is going to fall and the Russian military is going to collapse and Zelensky is winning and Elensky is king and Elensky is Churchill. Bring him to parliament and stand up and clap for Elensky. He is the savior, the leader of Europe. He's going to be the one that marches into Moscow. All of the lies, Ghost of Kiev, Snake Island, Zaporozhye Avenger, the goat of Kiev. They don't want the European citizens to realize it was all a grift. It was all a lie. That's what they're most concerned about, as the Washington Post is reporting. So we have the panic in Ukraine, the panic in Elensky. And a couple of weeks ago, he said that he met with Trump, and he told Trump, either we get into NATO or we're going to build us some nukes. That is what he said in a statement when he was visiting Brussels. And then he walked that all back. Well, it's back again. He walked it back, but now the whole nuke blackmail thing is back again. This has nothing to do with Russia. This has everything to do with trying to scare the Trump administration and to blackmail the Trump administration into not walking away from Project Ukraine. The UK Times, they are reporting that they have been in contact with a Ukraine think tank, and the Ukraine think tank is telling the Times that they have presented to the Defense Ministry, or they're going to present to the Defense Ministry, a study or a paper, research that they have done, which claims that Ukraine can create nuclear weapons because of their nuclear energy reactors, and they have enough material to create a bunch of nuclear bombs, not missiles and stuff like that, but the Times says fat man bombs, about equivalent to what was dropped on Nagasaki. Not as strong, but at that level. And Ukraine has the ability to create a lot of these bombs, and if the U.S. walks away from Project Ukraine, if the Trump administration walks away from Project Ukraine, then the Zelensky regime is going to go ahead and build these bombs. Not about Russia. It's about blackmailing Trump. Bad move if you're Zelensky. Very bad move. Since this article was published by the UK Times, this is not me, this is not Alex, this is what the UK Times is reporting. Since this article was published, the Elensky regime, once again, they've had to come out with a statement saying, no, nothing like this happened. But I don't know, I think this happened. My opinion is that this happened. The Times is saying that this think tank, they went to the Defense Ministry, they presented all of this to the Defense Ministry, or they're going to present this to the Defense Ministry. And this is the plan. This is how they're going to make sure that Trump doesn't walk away. There it is. Zelensky is in an absolute freaking panic. So that's what the Times was reporting. In Kupiansk, we're getting news that the Russian military, they have entered Kupiansk. That kind of surprised me. So it looks like Kupiansk is about to fall. And the Russian military, the Ministry of Defense, they also put out some numbers of Ukraine losses, total casualties. I believe this is not just KIA. This is all the losses of the Ukraine military. Once again, this is coming from the Russian Ministry of Defense. From August 6th up until, I want to say today, no, up until November 11th. Total Ukraine casualties since the Kursk operation, from August 6th to November 11th, and the number that the Russian Ministry of Defense is putting out there is 222,395 personnel wounded and killed. So it's everything, and it's in all directions. It's not just Kursk. It's in all directions on the front line. Kursk, Kupiansk, Bakrovsk, Donetsk, everything. 30,000 in Kursk. We already know that that's the number that the Russian Ministry of Defense is reporting, but across the entire front line, since the debacle that was Kursk began, at least up until November 11th, the total casualties are 222,000. That's incredible. And the Economist is reporting that Elensky's getting none of this information. The Economist is throwing Zelensky under the bus, man. The UK neocon heavy Economist, what does that tell you? They are throwing Zelensky under the bus. They put out the article that there are going to be elections in May. and Elensky should leave. That's what the Economist was pretty much saying. We need to have elections, and Elensky needs to go. But the Economist, in the same article, they said that the military is not telling Elensky what's happening on the front lines because he can't handle it. The deteriorating situation on the front lines is already rippling through society. Dmytro Povorotny, a military chaplain, sees it in the new soldiers he speaks to. There are a lot of unmotivated men. They are fighting because that's the only way they stay alive. The army is censoring the most negative news to avoid fanning flames back home, he says. A senior military official agrees. Even Mr. Elensky is being shielded from the truth. It's not even that he's being kept in a warm bath, the source says, using a local idiom to suggest the president was being cocooned by his top officials. He's being kept in a sauna. Wow. Amazing. Elensky's in trouble. They want him gone. They want the new president. They want to put in Zelensky so that they feel that if they put in Zelensky, the neocons, that Trump will be more receptive to Zelensky and he won't abandon Project Ukraine. They think that it's Elensky that's causing Trump to abandon Project Ukraine. They're wrong, but that's what they think. Anyway, let's do one more story and we'll wrap up this video and get to a clown world. What's going on in Canada with this Nazi list? What is going on? From the Daily Mail, fury as Trudeau refuses to release the names of 900 Nazi war criminals who fled to Canada after World War II. Justice denied. A lot of people are upset. A lot of organizations, Jewish organizations, are very upset with Trudeau because he refuses to release this Nazi list. And I was reading as to what the reasoning is. And from what I understand, Trudeau is consulting with Ukrainian organizations in Canada because they're worried that this list is going to support Russia's claim that there were a lot of Nazis in Ukraine. And they don't want that to happen. And that's why Trudeau is delaying the release of this list. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Trudeau doing everything he can to protect Project Ukraine and to protect the neocon Elensky regime. Amazing. He's going to have to release that list. Pressure is piling on. So did you guys see the meeting between Trump and Biden? Biden was happy, man. It went down exactly as I said it was going to go down. I was joking, but that's how it went down. Trump, Biden, we did it. That's what they said. We did it. They didn't say that, but that's what I think they said. They were looking each other in the eye and they said, we did it. Yeah, we derailed Kamala. Biden got his revenge. The evil genius, Biden, Dr. Jill, Hunter, they got their revenge for what they did to the professor. Having him drop out of the campaign via an X post. That was just wrong, man. That was wrong, and they got their revenge. Biden's looking great these days. I have to admit, he has a lot of energy. He's happy. He's smiling. And the worst part for Elensky and for Project Ukraine is the reports are that they spoke for 2 hours. They hung out for 2 hours, and they only mentioned Project Ukraine for 5 minutes at the end of the meeting, where Biden said, don't abandon Project Ukraine, and Trump said, okay, whatever. That was pretty much all they said with regards to Project Ukraine. For 2 hours, they were hanging out and talking, and they only dedicated 5 minutes to Project Ukraine. Not good if you're Elensky. So did you see the speech from Olaf Scholz, the pirate? Pirate no more, he's no longer a pirate. But he was speaking in front of Parliament, and he was talking about how his government has been very responsible with finances and spending, and the Parliament they just started laughing, man. The Parliament was laughing at Scholz. That's pretty bad when the Parliament is laughing at you. That was interesting. Let me play the video. You guys can check it out. I hope this is not AI. I really hope this is not AI, but it looks legit. Anyway, here is the video.
Und ich bin sehr stolz darauf, dass Deutschland ein Land ist, das gut mit seinem Geld umgeht und auf eine Staatsverschuldung Ich bin sehr stolz darauf, dass Deutschland gut mit seinem Geld umgeht und
Not looking good for the once pirate Schultz, who will not be chancellor most likely come February. It's going to be BlackRock, Friedrich Merz. And one final clown world, the UK's Guardian, they announced that they're going to be leaving X. That's what they announced. After much thought and discussion, they said we are going to be leaving X as the Guardian, because X is just conspiracy theorists and right-wing crazies. So the Guardian is not going to be on X anymore. That's great news. Great news. Guardian, don't let the door hit you on the way out. That is the video, everybody. Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch like what I am wearing today in this video. The link to the Duran shop is in the description box down below. Take care.